When it comes to the game of life, are we winning or are we losing? Or do we even stop to consider such questions? What's the first thing coming to your mind? Let's play a game, impromptu style, as I'm thinking about it. Let's do it right now. When I ask, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? What I'm asking is, losing, as in someone or something or someone's that are losing, or winning, or you're indifferent. You got nothing to say either way. None of the above. Neither winning nor losing. Just you're drawing a blank for it. What's the first thing that comes to your mind? Probably difficult to say. That's not tea. It's Dr. Pepper. Fountain soda. First thing comes to mind. Well, let's do it in conjunction while we're at it, huh? Let's compound it. If I show you something briefly, then move to something else, those two things have been formed together. Then I ask you the question. After I ask the question, after I form them together, two things or three things, however many it has to be, then I ask you the question, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Here, let's take this off so that it's not confusing as to what's being asked here. And what's the first thing that comes to mind? Probably saying, well, shit. If you're brown, stick around. So, that was different. I wasn't even intending to do that. I just came up with that impromptu, like you said. As we started this whole little thing about how you stop to consider whether or not you're winning or losing. First thing that comes to mind. Public transportation. Well, if you have plenty of transportation of your own, loser probably doesn't come to mind. If that's the best you have, or that's all you have, you don't want to put a degree of best or not good, or what degree of it is. But if that's what you have, you have nothing more than that, you might want to put more of a label upon it, whether that's winning or losing. Just a second. So, I'm not so certain that you can win in this realm called planet Earth without losing as well. But can you lose without winning in the process? I don't really know what winning is. If winning says that doesn't come to mind when you look at this, if winning says that didn't come to mind when you look at this, and add it in conjunction with this, I'm not so certain I know what winning is. Nor losing. So the opposite of this, most people say this is losing. That's what comes to mind. The opposite of that, the polar opposite of that, is considered to be winning. What do you have to lose in order to win that? And what do you win in order to have this? If this is losing, do you win something automatically, or does it not work that way? Does it not work that way? Can you lose and not win as much as you can have to lose something in order to win? By the standards of what we consider to be winning, many people consider to be winning. Sacrifice, right? That's what we associate winning with. A lot of our ideas about winning tends to go hand in hand with something we refer to as sacrifice, the giving up of something of lesser for something of greater value. The giving up of something of lesser value for something of greater value, like this pop I had just a moment ago. What value did I get out of that? Some short-term pleasure of having a tasty beverage on my taste buds. Now what do I have to do? It pays the consequence. More useless calories. Something that doesn't really bring out the best in my my brain, my body, my physiology, in general, my anatomy in general. Maybe I should overthink things. Maybe I don't overthink things. Maybe it seems like I do, but maybe perhaps I don't. Maybe I ought to start overthinking things, like overthinking whether or not to have a big gulp. I mean, really sit back and think about it, and everything that falls in the same category or classification, whatever you want to call it, of big gulp. All things big gulp in life. Just sit back and really think about it. You have people out there that they don't get it, right? It's like, why the fuck am I gonna drink a fucking carbonated beverage? Or why the fuck am I gonna sit back and have a Twinkie? What the fuck am I gonna eat some Oreo cookies for? They don't get it. They just don't get it. It's like, I don't get it. What the fuck am I gonna do that for? And that's not someone that you say, well, we commend you for that because you did this and you did that and you sat back and you did some real thinking and you thought it out and so on and so forth. I'm kind of off the subject now, and so forth, and you decided that wasn't for you, and that you're going to be vegan or do something more, upstanding, whatever. They're just not culturalized to be that way. Maybe they come out of China someplace, and their idea of all that is like, man, we do almond cookies and maybe some other shit every now and then, and other than that, man, it's rice, vegetables, meat in between, like small portions of meat here and there. And that's just their culture. Just like they learned the language over there. They're not speaking English as prevalently as they are some other languages over there, like Mandarin and Cantonese and whatever dialects they've got over there in China. So are they winning or losing? Because you might say, well, shit, you don't have a tasty beverage? I've got one. You don't enjoy Oreo cookies? I do. I kind of felt that way back when I was a younger man. There's this Chinese lady that I was a co-worker of mine, and I was like, she was straight out of China, man. She spoke English, she learned it secondhand and whatnot. And I was trying to introduce her to a Reese's peanut butter cup, and she wouldn't dine on it. She was like, she refused it. Just kept adamant about it, and I couldn't comprehend why she wanted to miss out on such, tasty treat, And then she broke it down to me that it's too sweet, just a burst of sugar in her mouth, and she just didn't like it. She's tried before. She had to let me know at some point. I left her alone about it. So I was like, how do you know unless you tried it? Probably not the best way to go with the ladies, Either way. Sometimes maybe it is. But since she told me, at some point she told me she tried it, I left it alone. Well, I was just adamant. I was stuck on it. If you haven't tried it yet, give it a try. So I guess she figured it was one candy bar and overly processed sugary treat or whatever you want to call it is just as good as the other. Maybe she tried a candy bar and she's like, whatever, on all that shit. So is she winning or losing? Because I kind of felt like she was missing out on something in life. Because I sat back and enjoyed my Reese's peanut butter cup. I wish right now today, if it was just that easy, I want to overcome it in a lot of ways, but I really, to be honest with you, I'm not doing it right now presently. When I was 27 years of age, I read this book. It's more of a pamphlet than a book. And it was going on about quite a few things along the spiritual realms, spiritual nature of things, spiritual matters. And one of the things they was talking about in there is that eating is something you do when you become a highly spiritual person. If you choose to do so. It comes down to how you look at it. And I had a moment of that in my life. I had a spell of that, episode of that. Something that I deliberately made to be that way. You know, I was like, whatever I ate, you know, it just didn't matter. It was all light. You know, it was all the body of Christ. And they were talking about in that book that, you know, you can live off a diet of M&Ms and thrive off a diet of M&Ms. Nothing but M&Ms. But you have to be honest with yourself. You can't approach it and say, well, yeah, I'm just living off a diet of M&Ms and I get all my nutritional value or whatever it is I need and I'm thriving over here. And you're just bullshitting yourself and conning yourself. And these days, it's not so much that I'm bullshitting and conning myself, because I've been there, done that. I know it's possible, but I'm not applying myself just the same. So if I could just snap my fingers and say, well, whatever. I don't need a big gulp. I don't need Oreos. I don't need none of that shit. All I need is rice, vegetables, and whatever else requirements the body requires to be whatever it is that it needs to be when you're in this plane. And you're not trying to navigate some spiritual plane out there, some spiritual realm out there that says either you got it like that and it's just, it's there. Like, you know your fucking name and it's going nowhere. You know, until some shit, amnesia comes your fucking way. Short of that, you know your fucking name like the back of your hand. I never got to that point. I was still someplace between, okay, well, I have to work for this conceptualization, this concept that I'm trying to apply to myself, that it doesn't matter what I eat. I'm just going to override it with the mind and the soul and the spirit and all that. So once I get to that point, then I guess I can just, you know, complete abandon. So you say, what does this have to do with winning and losing? It brings us right back to what I was saying. I was talking about the Chinese lady. I felt like she was losing and so on and so forth. Now I'm just rambling, going on about other subjects, I guess. But I don't know. If you had some place that says, in the end, 99% are going to end up right here, and all roads lead to the same destination, which is you're lost. But for the meantime, you can choose any of these roads that you like to choose from, and it's quite a bit of roads. The broad and the narrow way that was spoken of in the Bible. So the way is broad, and it's a very broad way. It's quite a few roads you can, but let's say ultimately they all lead to failure. Something considered to be, in a universal perspective, not just a worldly perspective, as losing. What would you do at that moment? Would you say, well, show me the winning road, or let's do one of these other roads over here that are so plentiful? Just a second. So I'm thinking, before I start this video, that perhaps the winning road is not so fucking easy. How many of them are there? Because I'm not quite sure I know what the fuck it is, winning and losing. Like I told you, but again, I'm not quite sure I understand what it is. If I could just tell me what it is to say, look, this is the winning path. This is the ultimate winning path. Then I can sit there and decide, okay, now am I going to choose this path, or am I going to go with some alternative that leads to something that's not winning, ultimately in the universal scheme of things? It sounds ludicrous that you'd even sit there and consider whether or not to choose such a path or not choose such a path when you know that it's the path. But that's my problem. I really don't know if it's the path or not. Because you may say Christianity, that's the way to go, my friend. And others will fucking beg to differ with you. And so many people out here will tell you what it is, and so many people will tell you what it's not. But how do you really fucking know? You're willing to bet your eternal soul, if there's such thing as eternal soul, upon something that someone told you in this world that you didn't go and discover for yourself and get confirmation from, 100% confirmation from the source that would know that this is the path and this is the way. And this isn't, and this is not, and this is not, and this is, but this isn't. So I really don't know. I don't know what's winning and what's losing. In the meantime, there are things that I desire, like a big gulp every fucking now and then. And I pick it up, I drink it. Like I slurp this, I slush this, I slurp this down. Gulp this down. I think this is the word, right? Gulp, big gulp, I gulp this down. Without giving it much thought. But I did think about it this time around when I went in there and purchased one. Right now, I'm trying to watch what I eat a little bit more. And what I've taken to my body in general a little bit more. Right now, I'm overweight. I'm 200... what was that the other day? I think it was 207 pounds, I believe it was. 5'9", but I'm an athletic build naturally. I'm not an ectomorph or an endomorph, but I got the athletic build, a natural athletic build. So it doesn't sit on me like if it was of the ectomorph. But still, 207 pounds at 5'9", by the Chinese standards, that's considered obese. Even though I work out and do weights a little bit. But from my standards, from his standards and their standards aside, I'm getting a little bit weighted because I feel it heavy on my knees and so on and so forth, you know? I don't need all that extra weight if it's not muscle anyhow. Because muscle is very light, as you know. Fat, not so much. So two more pounds of fucking muscle, by the way. I want to gain that here in a minute. Because I'm going to stop lifting weights here in a minute. I got something I got to do. But in the meantime, I want to pack on as much as I can. So when I live this quasi-sedentary lifestyle, I come out of it having said, okay, well, I guess he just eat sensibly while I'm at it for that 2 months or whatever it happens to be. I guess we just kind of leaned up a bit, but he didn't turn out to be fucking all wasted away and shit. You know? And then after that period, if I'm still around and I still give a shit, take up lifting weights with a vengeance. So winning and losing, I don't know, but there's certain things I want. So like I want to do what I just said I want to do. You know, I don't know if that's winning, that's losing. I don't really fucking know, man. I'm not gonna litter, by the way. I'm trying to do less of that. Why? I don't really know. What's the fucking point? Certain places you say, well, you don't litter here. So go down a couple blocks and litter all over that motherfucker. That's another subject, another can of worms. And I guess let's run its course for the meantime. That's damn near 20 minutes of winning and losing, and ultimately all I can come out with to tell you is that I really don't know what winning and losing is, you know. But if I knew, and you knew, would you choose to win, or would we choose to lose? Deliberately. Knowing damn well, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. This wins, ultimately speaking, universally speaking, and this, no matter what the road happens to be, leads to, ultimately, a loss. That's Anthony Terrell. I just felt like making a fucking video. Y'all be easy. Or you be easy. I think I have 7 subscribers. So y'all be easy.